Hi, my name is Emma Wold, and you're listening to the Odyssey Moments Podcast.
Did you ever wonder where the Odyssey art came from on my logo? Well, that art was not just found randomly on the internet. It was actually specially made for Odyssey Moments. And the person who did that art is actually here right now. Her name is Emma Wold. Emma, say hello.
Hi, it's great to be here.
Thank you for joining me. How do you feel about being my first interviewee?
Super great, super great.
And for those who don't know, this is actually the first time we are talking to each other, like, vocally,
Yeah,
which
you're
is kind
right,
of
you're
weird.
right. Yeah, that's crazy.
So, do you know how we first met, like our first interaction?
Well, remember we kind of mapped it just a little while ago. The Town of Odyssey forums, I'm pretty sure that I was in the chat at one point or another, and you
Yes.
were also in the chat, and you were like, what is this
I,
person doing? Why is
I
she like
forgot about
this?
that. Yeah, so those you guys probably know the Town of Odyssey forum. We have a chat room, and people from the Soda Shop forum go on there too. And you were on there years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even what.
Yep, back when I was really, really annoying as a person.
I don't really remember, but yeah, I think you were obnoxious. I'm not sure.
Yes. No, I was. I was. You can admit it. Even if you don't really remember, it's true.
But anyway, I guess that was our first interaction. But I had no idea it was you. So, do you remember like how I reached out to you or anything?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it was DeviantArt
Yes.
for the first time. Yeah,
So,
like
let me tell a little story for a second.
yeah.
On my side, I was first starting my Instagram for Odyssey Moments, and that was like in 2015. And I was searching the interwebs for fan art because I wanted to post fan art and memes on my page with quotes. And you were one of the first people I found on DeviantArt, and I was like, "This is awesome!
Yeah.
I'm going to ask her, see if I can use your art." And then it kind of started from there. And then I guess after I commented on one of your art pieces, you started following me on Instagram.
Yeah, yeah.
And you were actually the first person I shared fan art from.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was like, I had to go back and look, so I'm like, I'm pretty sure she was. And that just makes it even cooler that you were the first one.
Yeah. It doesn't seem like it's been that long
I
either,
know.
but it's really been like half a decade.
It's probably because I kind of went absent for like 2
Yeah.
years or something.
Yeah. You bounced. You
Yeah.
bounced for a little bit.
I don't remember what the first art was. I think it was like Blackguard or something. I don't know.
It might have been, but I feel like it was that marker drawing of Eugene. Where it's just like it's just a headshot, and I feel like it was that
I
one.
don't remember. It was one of those. But anyway, I shared a lot of your
Yeah.
art.
Mhm. I'm thankful for that.
And we've kind of been talking off
Yep.
and on ever since I first interacted with you.
Yep. We are friends now.
So how did you first get introduced to Odyssey?
This is like my favorite story to tell, okay? So,
Good, because
I was
I'm ready to listen.
yes. I was probably like 11 or 12, and at the time I lived right around the block from my cousin. And he was like my best friend for most of my childhood, honestly. So we spent a lot of time together. And unbeknownst to me, he was really into Odyssey, and I guess his whole family was. And he had gotten an extra album, I think, for his birthday. So he was trying to like give it to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I was raised in a Christian household, and you know how that goes, but I was not into like Christian music or anything like that. So
Yeah.
when he gave this to me, I was like, what is this? Is this Christian Kids Bop Weston? Is that what you're trying to give me? And it didn't occur to me that audio dramas were a thing. So he's like, no, you'll like it. And I'm like, I don't think I will. But I took it anyway because he's convincing. And I took it home, and I'm not really sure if I like just let it sit for a while or if I, you know, turned it on right when I got home or something, but I feel like I pulled it out when I was bored just to see what it was.
Yeah. What?
So I finally listened to it. It was Into the Light.
Yeah, I was
I
gonna
think
say, what
album
album was it?
47. Yeah. Yeah. So it was Into the Light, right? The one with Eugene and his dad
Yeah.
and all of that. And so I start listening to it and I'm like, what is this? This is not music. There are people talking. What's going on? But I keep listening because, it's a story and I'm like, this is kind of cool. And Eugene seems like pretty cool. I can't understand what he's saying half the time, but he's cool nonetheless. So I think it just really kind of like took off from there. I went back and I was like, Weston, give me more albums to listen to. I need to hear more.
I'm surprised because you said you were raised in a Christian home, but never have heard of Odyssey until then.
Yeah, and it was funny because I was just talking to my mom about this thing that we're doing right now, and she was like, yeah, I remember your aunt was always like, have Emma listen to these. I think she'd really like it. But my mom, they're just, I guess you could say they're a little contrarian.
Yeah.
So, yeah, she never thought that that would be something I would be into, really, because I was such a hyper little child, but
Yeah, I
it
guess I can
ended up
understand
being
that.
great for me. Yeah.
Well, that's cool. So you were hooked ever since.
Really, truthfully, yes.
Would he just give you more albums? Did he have the whole set or something?
Yeah, that boy was really bad about keeping all his discs together.
Oh.
It was a disaster zone, so I basically took what I could find.
Okay.
And I ended up listening to a lot of the series, but there was a lot of missing discs and stuff like that. So to this day, I really haven't listened to every episode
Or
that
probably in
ever
order.
was made because of that. Yeah. I tried to listen to them all in order, though, despite the fact that I started off with Into the Light, which kind of spoils a lot of Eugene's arc for
Yeah.
me. So when I was listening to the whole Katrina, Brandon, and Eugene thing, I'm like, I know that Katrina's gonna be married to him, but
Yeah.
I'm still getting really into this.
Yeah, because you started kind of way into the series.
Yes, definitely.
Because I know when I first started, it was like at the beginning for me.
Yeah, that's nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I feel like at one point I tried to listen kind of chronologically, but for a while, just now that I remember, I think my cousin was kind of being like, here, this is a good one, or this is a good one. So then everything was all over the place, and I was like, I don't know what's going on.
So,
Yeah.
who is your favorite character?
Eugene, obviously.
I mean, you started with Into the Light.
Yeah.
That was full on Eugene right there.
Yeah, and it was interesting because when I saw the cover, I was like, this dude looks familiar, and I don't really know why. And I think later I kind of connected that at my cousin's house when we were younger, um, my aunt would play some of the animations that they made, some of the little animated
Really?
episodes. So I feel like I just have this really fuzzy memory of being in their living room and seeing Eugene on the screen. And to a little kid, his design was a little bit strange because you can't see his eyes. But it stuck with me, obviously, because I was able to recognize him
That's
so
funny
many
that
years
you
later.
saw the animated series but did not connect it initially. Like you
Yeah,
didn't know what
yeah,
you were watching.
yeah. I did. Yeah, had no idea what was going on. I was probably like 4 or 5, really.
So why is Eugene your favorite character?
Um, I really love smart characters, first of all. And I guess I could relate to some of the struggles that he had,
Mm-hmm.
too. And, I think part of it, though, is, like, I've read on the wiki before that people have made connections that he's got, like, Asperger's syndrome or something. Or at
Yes.
least he's, like, a character of it or something like that. And I didn't know at the time that I started listening to Odyssey, but like when I turned 14 or 15, I was really struggling in high school and middle school. And I was actually diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder, which is just the same thing as Asperger's. They keep changing the name because
So you were diagnosed in high school?
Yes.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Freshman year, I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
That probably answered a lot of questions for you.
Yeah, it did. It totally did. And I still find myself figuring out, oh, this is why this is this way for me in the world. So as I was like listening to Eugene, it's like he's so much more than this like super smart alecky dude. Like there's a reason why he says things and why he replies with, you know, those super logical responses and stuff like that. And I think that he's probably like on the spectrum too, and I think that's why I just sort of gravitated to him. Like when you're on the spectrum, there's this thing called like special interests and hyperfixations, and it's just like getting really into something basically. And oh my gosh, Eugene is totally my special interest for like so long. Like I used to draw him all the time. Like I still love him, but I was so obsessed for such a while.
So what are, for people who don't really know autism, and what are things that make you believe Eugene would be on the spectrum?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. It's like I was thinking about this, and now my mind is blanking because I'm like nervous and being vulnerable. I like to think specifically about the Eugene Returns album because he loses his memory, and the longer that goes on, and the more like desperate he gets to like get that back, that just makes me think like just his how emotional and how intense he got, and especially when you hear the story behind that and how he lost his memory.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's totally a hyperfixation thing that he had. And when you're on the spectrum, oftentimes you have like such a strong sense of justice. So from what I remember, he was doing those experiments and suddenly they pulled the rug out from under him and they're like, no, you can't do that.
Yeah.
So he breaks in or something or other, and he experiments on himself, which is like totally mad scientist of him. But like for me, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's just something I would do in one of those like critical moments like that. Like, yeah, that's what I think about a lot. And there's also just the fact that he is a savant, which is, you know, basically being really, really smart and being really good at, you know, things.
Yeah.
And he's really smart and really good at things. So savant syndrome is also pretty characteristic of autism. Like there are many autistic people who are savants. There are many that also aren't. It's a very broad spectrum, which is why they've started calling it a spectrum. But he is a savant, so that's one marker. And just really, just those moments like that just make me think, yeah, he's probably on the spectrum. And the fact that I, as an autistic person, just really connected with him and related to him right off the bat, which is something that doesn't usually happen for me because I'm not super invested in characters unless I make them for the most part. So the fact that I got like so immersed in this character and I was so obsessed with him just makes me think that he's probably on the spectrum.
But I guess too, Eugene, he doesn't always catch on to social cues.
Exactly.
That's probably
Yeah.
another one.
Yeah, I forgot to mention that. And that is totally something I can relate to.
What is your, from the audio series, what is your favorite scene of Eugene?
Okay, so the time has come. That's really like emotional and everyone loves that. And I like that a lot too. But yeah, I don't know. There's so much to choose from. And you're referring to the audio series, right? You're not talking about the cartoon. Okay. Yeah. I really do like that moment in Eugene Returns where he's like kind of starting to freak out too. When like I don't know if you remember, but he's like, please put me back in there. Keep testing on me. I want my memory back and stuff like that. And Katrina has to like literally restrain him.
Oh yeah.
I do like that. I kind of like the moments where characters sort of kind of lose it for a little bit. Yeah.
Is there any favorite quotes or anything that you can think of, or things that he says or does?
I don't know. I the way he talks a lot, just all the quotes, basically.
Everything
Yeah,
Eugene.
yeah, and his introduction to the series is pretty great.
Good day, gentlemen.
Hi.
Hello. You realize, of course, there's a more efficient way to let you know a customer has come in than the employment of that small bell above the door.
Probably. Are you a salesman?
No, sir. My name is Eugene Meltzner, and I'm a science student and, might I add in all modesty, a recognized genius at the Campbell County Community College. I'm sure you've heard of it. Whom do I have the pleasure of addressing?
I'm John Whitaker, and then this is Tom Riley.
Howdy.
Howdy. An abbreviated form of the phrase, how do you do, or in the older English, how do you fare? In answer, Tom, I fare well, thank you.
What'd he say?
I think he said he's fine.
Did I ask?
Well, I guess you did.
Oh,
What can I do for you, Mr. Meltzdown?
That's Meltzner.
Oh,
Meltzner.
yeah.
Richard Pierce, my professor at the college, suggested I speak to you, hence my presence.
Well, I can see that. Speak to me about what?
About studying under you. Professor Pierce said that you are somewhat remarkable as an inventor and scholar, and that I would find your approach to life very, well, shall we say, different, if not altogether fascinating, and certainly beneficial to my pursuant education.
what did he say?
I think he wants to work for me.
If that's possible, sir. Professor Pierce said I would also receive class credits.
Well, your timing couldn't be better, Hubert.
Eugene.
I happen to have an opening for part-time help. It's temporary, maybe, through the holidays only, but...
I would be proud and honored to offer my meager ministrations as your most obsequious journeyman for whatever course of time you deem necessary, sir.
Eugene,
yes,
I
sir.
just can't understand a word you're saying. Are you one of those foreign exchange students?
Pardon?
Well, welcome to Wits End, Eugene.
So I know that you really love the animated cartoon series that they did.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Well,
How do
more
you
or less, yeah.
how do you compare the animated series with the audio series?
They're kind of their own separate things, I think, because there's a lot of like discontinuity between the two things. So
Oh, yeah.
you kind of have to watch it and like not think about all of the things you know about the audio series Odyssey and just kind of enjoy it for what it is. Like it's it's a little TV show, so it's got little cartoon gimmicks and stuff like that. So it's fun to watch. I love the animation, especially in some of the earlier ones where they were hand painting the cells and stuff like that. The colors are great. I think the character designs are pretty nice too. So yeah, it's one of those things like I loved figuring out that there was an animated series because of the visuals. I was really excited to see visuals because I've never been really crazy about the whole caricature things on the album covers.
Yeah, me neither. So, is that why you liked watching the animated series, just for the animation? And of course, I guess Eugene, isn't it a lot?
Yeah, for the most part. Like, it's not that I didn't like any of the stories or anything like that, but I like the kind of the slow burn arcs of the audio series. Like my favorite arc is Novacom, and I love Darkness Before Dawn and all of those
Oh yeah.
big long stories, and you can't really facilitate that through an animated show.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I guess you could. I think they should try. I think people should try that.
I know.
And they do sometimes.
So, you're an artist because you did the art for me, and
Yep.
I noticed that you really love drawing Eugene because he's your favorite character.
Yeah.
So, what is your like key? I don't even know how to put this. Just like the evolution of your version of Eugene,
Oh, I know, right?
and just like why you like to draw him the way you do.
Well, there's been a lot of experimentation with that. I basically started off just kind of copying the animated Eugene because I did like that design. And that's like when I was starting to draw people like, oh my gosh, I have Eugene to thank for the fact that I even started to draw people, because if I didn't, I don't even know where I'd be right now. And just
Really?
a little fun fact here, I wouldn't even have any of like my best friends right now. I literally
Wow.
met them because of Odyssey. Like my best friend Zoe, she's my friend because we had an Instagram war over Eugene versus Emmett from the Lego Movie, which is embarrassing, but 2014 Instagram for you. So that's how we met, and we're still
Wow.
friends. So yeah.
I
But
did not know
I
that.
digress. Yeah.
So Eugene was
So
the first human person you drew
pretty
or
much,
started
like
drawing?
like it was what encouraged me to really learn how to draw people and to draw people
Oh,
more.
okay. So
I
Eugene
mean,
was
I
your
had drawn
practice.
yes, I had drawn some people before that, but it was never really something that I enjoyed doing, I guess. So back to the whole why I draw him the way I do. I draw him in that style for a while, but then I'm like, I want to mix this up because that's what I do. I like to do character design. So I start fitting him into my own style because like I start finding what I was running into is if I tried to draw anyone else, it would be like not the same at all because it's not my style. So I tried to draw him in my style like from that point on. I don't really remember when, probably around late 2014. I think that's when I started drawing him with eyes. And I had resolved to make his design look good with eyes, basically, because when they chopped
was
his
this
hair
when they
off,
started
that broke
showing
my heart.
his
Yes.
his
Yeah.
eyes and you started drawing him with eyes?
No, I think it happened before that, and I was just in denial.
Yeah.
So eventually I was like, you know what? They could have made this work, but they didn't. So I'm gonna try. How about I do? So I just was like, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna see if I can make him look not busted with his eyes showing. So there's a lot of trial and error with that as well. And I've had a lot of weird style changes, but I think what I made for your page ended up turning out really well.
I'll say.
I did kind of, yeah. Thank you. I did kind of lean into more Disney, and I did take some cues from Milo Thatch from the Atlantis
Right.
movie that Disney made.
Yeah, it does. It gives that kind of
2002 or
animated
something.
vibe, that style.
Yeah.
Which I like, though.
And yeah, and that's what I like. I'm very influenced by that. Like I love anything from that era and before, really. Like I love Glenn Keane's work, especially right now. I don't want to be like that, even if it's a little out of style at the moment. But that's what I like. I just like to draw like that. So yeah.
Yeah, and you always draw him with a tie. Do you ever draw him with a bow tie?
Yes, I think I have in the past. I love bow ties, first of all. I think they're great. But he just never struck me as someone who would wear a bow tie.
I like him with the tie.
For some reason, I was like, he's got to wear a tie. He just has to. There's something about the vest and the tie and the parallel lines.
Yeah, it really does go. I see what you're saying.
That really work. Like, not that you can't wear a vest without a tie, but I think if you're going to be wearing like a vest, and as they've redesigned him, they've made his vests a little bit more like real waistcoats. So if you're going to wear like a waistcoat, I really think you should be wearing a tie.
Yeah, that would make sense.
That's just my opinion. And I picture him wearing a tie. I just do. I picture everyone wearing a tie sometimes. No, something about drawing dudes with ties is just my favorite thing to do.
I mean, I don't complain. I like it, so.
Yes, I'm glad you like it, because I will die on Eugene wears a tie rock.
So it's safe to say you don't really like the official art for Eugene.
Yes, I mean, I don't want to be like rude, but yeah, I don't vibe with it. I loved the animated version though.
Yeah, there's just something
I think
about
that was
it.
really
It's
neat.
just like it's not like it's really goofy because why doesn't he have eyes?
Yeah,
but
it's totally unique too. And they took a risk not showing his eyes, but I think it paid off because obviously I remembered it after how many years?
And for some
because it was just
reason,
so strange to me.
It kind of works. I don't know how, but it does.
Yeah, it does. It does. It's something to do with shape language, probably, which is probably a term no one understands. But, that's me. That's me for you.
What is shape language?
I'm not really sure myself, but I think it's it has to do with character design and the shapes comprising a character, basically.
Okay. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Because what I found is when I would try and draw them, like, if you got the shape of his hair wrong, it was suddenly not him.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So I think that's what I mean by, like, shape language.
Okay.
That, and you've got the circles of the glasses and things like that.
So, for the official art, did you like the previous Eugene, like, without eyes, than you do the one with eyes?
Yeah. I'm of the opinion that kind of modernizing all of the characters was not really the best idea. Like, I mean, in concept it's great, and I understand, but the way they executed it was not so great, because I felt like they really stripped the characters of some of their most, like, definitive characteristics.
Yes.
Like, when you picture Connie, you picture the scrunchie and the ponytail and the green sweater. You can't not picture that after 50 or so albums of her wearing that. And you can't not picture Eugene wearing sneakers and a vest, big, huge Coke bottle glasses, and that hair.
Yes.
And also, I mean, Wit, he's gotta be a big guy. I must say, he's got to be a big dude. It was weird that they slimmed him down.
It's like I guess Bruce Day's work when he did I call him the lumberjack Wit, which I don't totally mind, but I also don't see like Hal's voice coming out of that either. So it's not bad, but it doesn't really remind me of Wit. You know, I like Fat Wit.
Yeah, part of why Jolly Wit works is because he's jolly and he's reminiscent of, like, Santa Claus.
Yeah, it makes him more friendly and inviting.
Yeah, and I guess the reason they did that is because, oh, well, we want to promote being healthy and stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, but who's to say he's not totally healthy? Because there's more and more evidence where it's like, okay, even if you're kind of overweight, that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to keel over and die any second. And it's really hard to keep off weight when you're that old. I'm just going to say. I know, because I have relatives who struggle with that. And it's really hard to keep that skinny figure when you're in your 70s.
Yep, I agree with that. I just feel like, because, like, Wit, he doesn't have to look, like, obese. Because, some people are just kind of stocky looking, but they don't look fat.
Exactly.
But they're just more robust. And it's like...
Yeah, exactly. I think he's just kind of more of a stout character. Like, I don't imagine that he's, like, short and fat at all. I imagine he's pretty tall, but he's, like, tall,
he's just
broad,
kind of a big guy,
He's got a belly because he's an old man. Yeah, exactly.
So that's why I, really wanted the art for my logo to have Wit more of, like, Jolly Wit or Fat Wit, you could say.
I appreciated that.
And I know you just kind of took the liberty of doing it in your style, which I was fine with because I love your style. It's my favorite. So I was perfectly trusting of you. That's why I went to you, because I knew whatever you put out was going to be awesome. And that's why you had to have Wit, look jolly and inviting and friendly, and he does.
Good, I'm glad. I tried. I feel, Wit was tough. Like, there's things I could have done better, but between now and then, I've had a figure drawing class, so I can't really critique myself too harshly.
Well,
now.
It's always just going to get better from here.
Yep, I hope so. If I ever stagnate, I don't want that to happen.
But that's like with Connie. Like, you don't really draw Connie that much.
Yeah, I don't, and it's like, I love Connie. She's great. I just, part of it, I like to draw dudes. I like to draw boys.
And you like
That's
Eugene.
part of it. I really like to draw Eugene, like, a lot.
He has a lot of nice characteristics.
I really did.
Though that would be fun to draw.
Yeah, it'd be fun to draw. What did you say?
I said Eugene has a lot of fun characteristics to draw.
Oh yeah, for sure. He's great, especially if you put a tie on him. Always thinking about the tie.
Ties for everybody. You know what I want to say? I want to see you do full body Connie. That's what I want to see.
True. And I think I'm gonna, like, try and do that, because I've been thinking about drawing, like, full body Eugene lately too.
Yeah, doing. What did you say? You were gonna do, like, character, like, design.
kind of like a character
Yeah, character
profile or
profile.
like a character sheet. Character sheet is what I was thinking. Yeah. But I want to get like a character design class under my belt first, because I'm going to be, hopefully, if the world doesn't fall apart on me, I'm going to be transferring into another school so I can start an animation degree, because character design is just my favorite thing, and I want to design characters for movies and animation.
Wow.
So I've been wanting to make kind of full body character sheets, specifically of like Eugene and stuff like that, but I should probably do that.
So you want to do character design and animation for movies. When did you kind of
Yeah.
decide you wanted to do that as a career?
It's hard because for a while I've never really that wasn't really something that was totally accessible to, like, sorry, I totally my words just fell apart. That just wasn't an option for me
Right.
until now.
So it was just recently
things
you
sort
kind
of
of
fell in
decided
place.
that's what you were going to do.
Yeah. It was always something I was like, wow, it'd be really cool to like work at Disney one day. And I had relatives who would see my art and they would be like, you should work for Disney one day. And I'm like, yeah, okay. Because I'm like 14 at the time, and I'm like, I'm not really thinking that far ahead, but thank you. And yeah, it would be great, but I've never been one to have a lot of self-confidence,
Right.
so it never really felt real.
It does feel like
or much
a
of an
1 in a
option for
million
me until now.
chance. But
Mhm.
I think you are on the
Yeah.
road to getting somewhere big. I really do think that.
I hope so. I mean, I would like that. Yeah, I don't want to fail. That's part of the thing, is it's like I'm afraid of failure, but isn't everyone, to be honest.
Totally. So, what is your degree that you're working toward right now in college?
Okay, so currently I'm just an art and design major, so I'll be changing my major once I transfer in again, provided that actually happens. And it'll just be like an animation major. That's really what it is. Animation bachelor's degree, I think, BA.
All right, that's cool.
Yeah.
So you kind of always wanted to do art as a career, you would say? Are you?
Yes, but not fine art. Like, I've really always enjoyed character designing,
Okay,
creating
so that's always
characters.
been a
Like, I'm
thing. You just didn't really think
yes.
it would be possible till now.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. I was just like, because of my dad's job, and I don't know if I could ever make that work and stuff like that. I just never felt like something that could become a reality for me. So I was like, just planning on doing a normal art and design major and figuring it out from there. So now things fell into place, and I might actually get to do that, and I'm really hyped about it. I just hope it happens. But yeah, I've always loved storytelling. I've always loved animated movies. I still do. Like, I could just watch Disney movies and non-Disney movies. Some of them, like, I love the older DreamWorks movies and stuff like that too. I could watch specifically like 2D hand-drawn animation all the time.
I loved the hand-drawn
truthfully.
animation.
Oh yes, there's just something really amazing about it to me. In not the same way that computer animation is. Like, it's really cool when you can make stuff look really real. Like, that's cool. But I like that you can still see, with a hand-drawn sequence, like an animator's pencil test, that you can still see, like, the animator's artistic language in hand.
Yes.
Like, you can see some of the artist in every sequence. In not quite the same way that you do when you watch like a Pixar movie and you see, because basically what you see is someone's character design basically projected onto a 3D model.
Right.
And then you're manually moving the little ligaments and stuff like that to create the sequence. So it's not quite the same thing as drawing an image over and over and over again.
I also just like the cartoon stylization of it all. I don't want.
Yeah,
I like watching
same.
like animation that looks almost real and whatever too, but just I don't know, that stylization of looking like a cartoon. It's just really fun to watch.
Yeah.
And you can do a whole lot of things with it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just really like watching that.
Yeah, same. I love the things that are like semi-realistic, like, Glen Keane stuff, like Beauty and the Beast, like all of those Disney
Yeah.
movies. The animation is just gorgeous. Like I've never really been one to watch cartoons a lot, but animated movies
Yes.
totally. Like I watched so many of those growing up. I keep taking quizzes from like quizzes about all these things on Facebook because Facebook knows everything about you all the time. And it's decided that I really like to take quizzes on my Disney knowledge. And I'm just taking all these quizzes and I'm like, yeah, I watched a lot of Disney as a kid. And a lot of animated movies for that matter.
Well, that's good. It probably helps you in your art.
Yeah, it does. It does for sure. And truthfully, I need to sit down and do more like master copies and studies of work. It's interesting because there are professors who, for the final, you have to redraw like 300 heads
Wow.
from different sequences and stuff in animated movies. Like there's this guy I follow who's a professor, and that's his character design final, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, there's a lot of
That is crazy.
a lot of that, and studying it really helps you develop your own style and stuff like that, because when you do a character design and something like that, you're taking real features and you're kind of abstractifying it. And you need to know how to do that the right way, or it's going to look awful. And I know that because I have 6 years of art behind me that looks just like that. Yeah.
So, did your parents always think you had a talent for art? Like, were you like 3 years old and drawing just amazing pictures?
Oh my gosh. See, I have a crazy memory. I have this habit of remembering those critical moments in my life. No, I was not really artistically gifted from an early age. I started drawing out of spite.
Out of spite.
Yes, out of spite. So I was at Sunday school when I was probably like 5 or 6, and this Sunday school teacher, we were waiting for our parents to come get us. It was the end of the service, really. So there was a little table set up with crayons and paper, what little kids do, draw pictures till your mama comes to get you. So this girl who was sitting across from me, she drew a horse for the Sunday school teacher. And the Sunday school teacher loved it, it probably looked really terrible, truthfully, but we don't know that. We're 5. We think it's great, it's amazing. And then the teachers reaffirm that by saying it's great. So apparently I've always been a people pleaser from an early age, because as soon as that happened, I was like, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to draw a horse for the Sunday school teacher. That's what I'm going to do. And she's going to love it. And it's going to be great. And I'm going to feel validation in this house. So I do that and I show it to her. And she tries. She tried so hard. She was like, oh, this is nice. And not the same way that she really liked the other person's horse. And I was just like, I sat down and I made this for you, and you don't even like it. I didn't say that, but I could tell that there was a difference in her tone, right? So I went home and I was dead set on making this woman like my art.
So you were going to draw something better.
Yeah, exactly. So what do? I go home and I trace a Barbie horse. And I never give it to her, because I think that might have been the last time we went to that church. So, yeah, from then on, I would draw horses a lot. I was one of those horse fanatics as a kid. I still wasn't spending, like, every waking moment drawing, though. That didn't really start to happen, and truthfully, it doesn't happen nowadays, because, you know me, I'm really bad at, like, making myself do things, but, the focus on art and getting good at it didn't really come until around 2013 or 2014.
Oh, okay.
Again, it's based off of me wanting to make things that people like, and but I still make these things for myself too. I like being good at art, and I like perfecting the craft, and I love studying the figure and stuff like that too. But at that time in my life, I was like, I want to make things, I want people to like them, because that's the only way I know how to connect with people, which is totally an autism thing, by the way. And so that's when Instagram started happening. And my friend was like, you should get an Instagram. And I'm like, okay. And then I realized, like, if I posted my art, I started to get people to follow me and comment on my art and stuff.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to start drawing things. I'm going to post it, and people are going to like
It's
it.
a good motivator.
So, yeah, it was great, especially then. Like, it got me to, like, take it all seriously. Because
So
for
how
a while,
old
I
were
was
you
like,
then?
I don't really know what I want to do. I would have been, like, 14 probably.
Okay.
Yeah, 13, 14, something like that.
So I started talking to you like around 2015, and
Yeah, that's when I
yeah,
remember it.
and even back then, I don't know exactly when it was, but at some point I came to you, you know, it'd be cool if you did art for me, and
Yeah,
yeah,
we talked about that for a while.
but you kind of didn't want to do it. You didn't think you were good enough.
And truthfully, I wasn't. I think it's good that we waited until
Yes,
this
it's
moment
like it
because
was
I don't
meant to
think
be.
that,
Because
yes,
years down
just
the
the way it all
road, I
worked
come
out.
back and I'm just like, I really want art for my page, please. I
Hmm.
know you could do it.
And it was also at a great moment because I think in the last like year or two, there's been a lot more of the fans like coming
Yes,
online
I've noticed
and
that.
engaging in the fandom. I hate saying the word fandom, but let's say the Odyssey
Hmm.
community because I really hate that word.
The community sounds a lot better.
Yes, much better. No negative connotations with that.
But yeah, I came to you and you're just like, okay, I'll give it a shot. And it was
Mhm.
amazing.
I'm glad that it worked out because I was worried like getting so far into a sketch after telling you and then it just wouldn't
Hmm.
work out. But this just it really worked out and it might have sort of been a god
Yeah.
thing because um it worked out and I was able to make the color scheme work too, which is something I
I know
probably could not have done when you
it
first
looks
asked me
so
around like
gorgeous. Just it
2015.
all
Yeah.
flows so well.
Thank you. I'm glad that you like it. I like the colors too. They just I don't know why, but whenever I draw Odyssey characters, the colors that I use just remind me of cookies, and I don't know why. But like it's not like decorative cookies. I just think of chocolate chip cookies. Like I smell that smell whenever I look at the color schemes I use to
That
draw
is so
Eugene. It's weird.
random. But I almost can see
Yes, it
that
is very
for
random.
some reason. I don't know why.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah? Well good. I'm not crazy. Just a
Eugene and
little
a
bit,
chocolate
but
chip cookie.
yes. I bet he sneaks those. This is I have to believe that Katrina relaxed a little bit on the sugar
Yeah.
thing after a while. I want to
She
believe
makes some
that.
chocolate chip
'Cause,
cookies.
yeah. Like, she could doctor them up, make them quote unquote healthy, whatever, but she should at least, allow some sugar into her life. At least in my honest opinion. I'm not a dietitian, but sugar tastes good.
Well, back to the art.
Yes, sorry. Tangents. That's just how I roll.
I had every
I think we're
faith
a
in
little bit more
you.
natural now,
I had
though.
every faith in you that you could do it, though. So there's that.
Yeah, I thank you for that. And you, you totally like cheered me on. You're like, Emma, I'm gonna get you the Eugene figurine. You gotta do it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, the Eugene figurine. I have to do it.
Yeah, we didn't even mention that. So I commissioned
Mhm.
Emma to do this art
You
for
bragged
me,
me.
and part of the commission was
Yeah,
giving her the vintage
bribery.
Eugene action figure, which she
Yes.
wanted with all her being.
Oh yes, I've always wanted that. I never thought I would actually get it because I just unless I know I like really need something, I just don't buy things
Yeah.
sometimes. So it was never something where I was like, yeah, I'm gonna drop $60 on a Eugene figurine.
So I was like, if you
But
do
you did
this,
for me.
I will give you this.
And I was like, oh my gosh, I can't not do it.
You will regret
See,
it forever.
yeah. It's funny. It's hard to motivate me with money. I get motivated by other things, I think. Like as time went on, I was like, okay, it's great to get money for this, but there's other things that would be really great. It's like you broadcasting that on your
Hmm.
page. I'm getting exposure every time you make a post, which is great.
Oh yeah.
I try not to even really think about that, but in when I was like considering this and thinking about this, I was like, oh yeah, that's really great. And especially once I had made it and I saw all of the like connection and outreach that you got from it, I was like, oh my gosh, this was great.
Yes.
Like, this was worth more than the money you got me and the money you gave me and the Eugene figure you got me. Like, I cannot thank you
I know,
enough.
I'm just so proud. Like, I love being able to credit you. I love being able to tell people, this is the girl, check her out. She's awesome.
And I'm glad you're
Yeah.
like that, because there's a lot of it's hard to get that when you're an artist sometimes. People don't really credit you enough, and people will steal work and stuff like that. So it was really great that you were so professional about it.
You deserve it, and it's just like, if Focus wants to hire you, please hire Emma.
Yeah. I'll do your character designs for you. I will.
You could do the
because I'm motivated
whole
to do
thing,
that.
or like we talked about, a spin-off series or something, you know? It would be amazing.
I would love to reboot the animated series even.
Oh, I know,
like,
that would be so fun.
seriously.
So fun. With your
Yeah.
art style.
Like, I might, I might need to take some character design classes first, but we're working on it.
Yeah,
so,
you're getting there.
You know, if you're out there listening, consider me.
Please do.
Just think about it.
So one question I really wanted to ask you is that, because you seem to have a lot of thoughts on Odyssey, and especially Eugene. And then it's like, what would you like to see happen in future episodes? Or maybe what would you change?
Well, I have a lot of ideas, but it's not ideas I really totally want to just like spit out here on a podcast just in case I got the opportunity to tell them about my ideas. But I would really love to see Eugene be diagnosed with autism. I think that would be really cool. And I think that's better than just making a character to diagnose with autism.
Right,
if that makes
like
any
he's
sense.
already an established character.
Because, and that actually makes him more of a better representative anyway, because he wasn't written with that totally in mind. Like, I don't know, I can't speak for the writers, but obviously that's not at the forefront of Eugene's character development or anything. But because they didn't, be like, oh, this guy's got autism and stuff, they didn't overdo it. Like, he's still a really believable character, especially after all of the development that he's gone through. Like, he was pretty caricatured at the beginning, but everyone was, and that's part of the character development thing. So, I think he is a really good representation of someone who is on the spectrum, even though he is the typical, like, math, science geek and savant. He's still, like, there's still a lot of depth to him. He's not just Sheldon from The Big Bang Theory. He's got a lot of depth. He's got a lot of he's got a lot of emotions. And he's super empathetic.
Oh, yeah.
And that's actually, I know, you kind of hear contrary to this, actually. You hear that people on the spectrum don't have a lot of empathy, but that's not true at all. If anything, we're hyper empathetic. We just don't know how to deal with that empathy super well. Yeah. Like, I can't watch gory things at all, because when I see, like, someone's arm ripped off or something, it's like I feel that almost.
Oh, okay. Wow.
It's just so I'm hyper empathetic in that way. So I think there's just little moments where Eugene shows a lot of empathy. I was re-listening to, I think it might have been Lost and Found, because I just got the discs for that, so I burnt it to my computer recently. And do you remember Grady McKay, right? That character? And then how Eugene, he had that hand up organization for a while, and he went and helped repair all of Grady's their house, basically. And then I think in the same album there was the Christmas thing where they were like giving gifts and stuff, and everyone gave each other super expensive gifts. That was the whole thing. And then at the end, Eugene got this like super expensive stereo that he really wanted, and he just gives it to Grady because his mom needs an alarm clock, and he was trying so hard to buy an alarm clock for his mom. Like, that was just that's a sign of empathy right there. Like, totally. And that's something I do a lot. Like, it's so funny. Like, I'll just like give stuff to people. I'll be like, oh, you need that? Because I empathize with that feeling of like needing or wanting something, and I want to like alleviate that so badly. So there's little moments like that that I just love about Eugene. Like, I was kind of unable to get into that earlier because I think I was nervous and anxious. Like, we're a little bit more calm now that we're talking about it. But that was one thing I wanted to mention earlier.
I personally do love those moments where Eugene is being super empathetic and you really just see that side of him.
Yes.
Those are just really sweet moments.
Yeah. And if he was written with autism in mind, I don't know if a host of neurotypical writers would have been able to do that.
Yeah.
Because they would be really focused on the, you know, the main characteristics.
Yeah, trying to get every symptom or common symptom and putting it out there.
Yeah. And it's not like I would blame them for that. It's just it's hard to approach.
Well, I think it comes down to the fact that every person on the spectrum is different.
Yes. So. That is a big thing that people are finally starting to speak out about. Like, there's a lot of people who are really great at math and science and stuff like that, and things like that. But there's also lots of artists like me.
Yeah.
And there's people who talk really monotone, because that's something that is mentioned kind of like as a trait, but there's lots of people who inflect too much, like me a little bit. Sometimes I'll just kind of explode, if you haven't noticed. But sometimes I'll be really monotone like this.
Yeah, I find it all very interesting, and you know, I can't say I know everything about autism, but I have been watching like other YouTube channels and just kind of really learning more about it myself, and then learning from you, just talking to you.
Yeah.
So, how has Adventures in Odyssey impacted you? Like, what does it mean to you?
Well, like I said, I just kind of stepped back recently, and I realized that if I hadn't gotten so into it and I hadn't made all these connections, my life would look very, very different. I don't know how it would look, but it would look very different. And I probably would not have the friends that I have now, because that just never would have happened, really. So really, I'm just kind of like indebted to it. It's like one of those things.
Like you said, Eugene was one of the first kind of people characters you were really drawing over and over again.
Yes.
Do you think you would have gotten into character design if
that's
it wasn't
another
for
thing.
Eugene?
I can't say because I don't know that timeline. No one knows. But I just can't imagine.
Eugene had a hand in developing that.
And I say this all the time. I have him to thank for the fact that I draw people. And I said that earlier. I think it would be a lot harder for me to have tried to go and do what I want to try and do now without having at least some people drawing experience under my belt. And I've used under my belt twice now, which is cool. But yeah, I think it would be a lot harder to go into an animation major if I hadn't been drawing people for the time that I've been drawing it. Like, I always wish that I'd been drawing people for longer, but the fact that I even started drawing them at all is amazing. And it's really, I only have Odyssey to thank for that, because I think of other things that I've been interested in since then, or like around the past 5 to 6 years, and nothing really impacted me in quite a way that I would have started, hyperfixating on a character and drawing him over and over and over again.
Wow, that is so special.
Yeah.
I love that.
It's interesting because a lot of people will say, Odyssey, there's the very obvious spiritual influence there, but it's kind of interesting that mine ended up being so much more like nuanced and practical, and how it literally like shaped my life, sort of, at least a part of it. Like, that's just crazy.
I think it totally has.
Yes.
I just, I hear so many stories of people, how much Odyssey really impacts people, and I find that the most fascinating.
Yeah.
Because I guess, other shows and things will have that impact, but I don't know, it's just over and over again I hear stories of just how Odyssey really shaped their life, or even just one area of their life. I just think it's so cool.
Yeah, and it's just so funny to me, because my parents have always like made fun of me for this, because it is an evangelical Christian radio broadcasting, and it shows it. But despite that, I still found a lot of meaning in it, and a lot of stuff that really touched me in a way that other things really hadn't. And that's just cool, especially the stuff that was made around the 90s and the early 2000s. They really hit the jackpot. They really hit gold there for a time. It was really great.
I agree.
Yeah.
Those are some of my favorite
episodes. Same. Yeah.
Just because I grew up with those.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for coming on and being my first interview. It was
Thanks
so
for
much fun
having me.
actually talking to you.
Yeah, I can't wait to listen to this and be like, Emma, why are you like that? Why do you do that? Why did you say it like that?
I would say you were a great person to have for our first interview.
I'm glad. I'm glad that I was entertaining enough and that I pulled it together, because for a while there we didn't know. No one knew what was going to happen. But, you know, I settled in and I was like, you know what, this is fun. This is just a conversation. It's great.
Yeah, I say it went a little better than I was expecting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Started out a little rough.
Yeah, it was really rocky, I will admit. I might, when I go back and listen to this, I might just skip through the first third, because I don't really want to hear what I was saying then and being nervous about then. But the last 2/3, half, I'm pretty confident about, and I hope you are too.
Thank you for listening to the Odyssey Moments Podcast. I hope you tune in next time, and I'll meet you there.